Hello, Doctors Fisher and Fry. Today, I would like to display for you my admin team meeting around presenting data. So in the Leader Credibility Chapter 1, you talk about trustworthiness and leadership. And that's something that really resonated with me. I just put a few tips here or a few notes for myself. So in terms of self-assessment, that is something that we actually do quite a bit in Long Beach, and I definitely do with my team. This is the 7th year I've been at my site, so I do have a pretty high degree of relational trust, and I've been able to accomplish that by doing some of the things that you talked about in the book, being vulnerable, setting clear expectations, consistent with follow through, and dedicated, showing up for the kids and for the staff. I know you talk about it being as care. So those are things that I do. Also, trust. And I agree that it's definitely the keystone to reform. And it is something that I experienced coming into my school 7 years ago, coming in overly confident. I definitely resonated with me, the part of your book that you're talking about, those new leaders coming to sites and thinking that they're just going to come in and change things quickly. That was definitely my experience coming in 7 years ago. And I learned very quickly that it was important for me to establish some trust and relationships before I could start making change. So I also highly believe in building autonomy, which you talk about. That's something that I am fairly good at. Building leadership capacity is something that I'm known for, and working within the strengths to really move the whole group. What you will observe in the video is just a short clip of a team meeting that we held around sharing data. So currently my site is under construction, so we are physically split between 2 campuses. So we Zoom quite often or FaceTime on our phones because of the physical separation. And we do meet at least 1 to 2 times a week formally to go over. We have an administrative meeting that would kind of just talk about making sure all the bases are covered, who's going where, making sure all that the IEPs are covered, any meetings are covered, parent meetings, things of that nature. In addition, things tend to come up like this data meeting that we needed to hold with whole staff. So each person is responsible for a team that compiled data. My instruction and intervention coordinator, called IICs, so she is new to her role, and my assistant principal is new to me. He had a couple years experience as an assistant principal, but he is new to my school. So each team will be talking about how their group will be sharing the data with the staff. So this is a quick video. Hi guys, good morning. How are you?
Morning. Good. Doing well yourself?
Good, thank you. Okay, so I wanted to just catch up with you guys and see about what we're going to be doing for the sharing of our data this Thursday. So I love Yumi's idea around starting with making sure we go back to the action plan. I think that's going to be useful. And I like the really just putting it out there explicitly what the U4, remembering what U4 looks like with that concrete, this is what we've done in support of U4. I think it'll be good for the whole staff to really see all the pieces. Thank you, Yumi, for all the links. And then the U6 again, with those concrete examples of what we've done. I think that'll help the whole staff really see how hard everybody's working in support of our goals. Tuan, could you tell me a little bit about what your team's going to be sharing for safety?
Yes. So when it comes to school safety, it's right up there or even more important than the instruction inside the classroom. So when it comes to our team here with our 2 CSAs and 4 Rec aides, our conversation is how are we in service of the teachers outside of the classroom, where there may be, during passing period, before school, the 3 lunches. So that is the conversation that we are constantly looking at and addressing. And, during the Summer Institute, students say school safety was a #1 priority, not just for the teachers, but also for the students. So with that, there has been lots of work around how do we support that. So with that thought in mind, thank you to, Pilar for hiring another CSA. So now we have 2 CSAs and 4 Rec aides. I don't need to go through what they do in the morning, during, and after school, but as a sort of a checklist for the teachers, this is what they're doing. You know, we can even say to our students, hey, you know, we are checking these restrooms, you know, twice a period. So just through those conversational pieces, the team is constantly revisiting the work that we're doing well, and we're constantly making adjustments. So even with, you know, the U4 and the U6, you know, U4 is all about, you know, the formative assessment. We're also collecting that formative assessment, whether to the pulse survey, through the core survey, constantly building relationship with the students outside of the classroom, so that when we need to kind of push a little harder, we can do so. But overall, when it comes to school safety, it's about how do we support beyond the classroom so that the teachers feel comfortable handling the instruction when it's instructional time.
I like the idea. Can you tell me a little bit about what's happening with the focus on the 700 restrooms?
Gotcha. So, you know, based on our last quote unquote formative assessment, the 700 restroom was a hot spot. So our last adjustment on December 6th was to move one of our rec aids from the during lunch from the blacktop area over to the 700 building, and we are going to open up those restrooms along with the ones in the cafeteria, but then shut the ones down at the locker room because supervision was limited there, support, and also minimize the activities that are happening out in the locker room.
It's going to be supporting our African-American students.
You know, it's been a nice, you know, with each of the CSAs and rec aids, in addition to the formal team meetings, I touch base with the team members on a daily or weekly basis, and just through our natural conversations, supporting the work that they would like to do. So Mr. Green came to me and said, hey, Mr. Nguyen, what do you think about having a mentorship on campus? I'm like, that is phenomenal. So with that, we don't have any logistics built out, but just through that brainstorming process, we have sort of identified potentially either like a Monday, Tuesday, or even Thursday. You know, we'll stay away from Wednesday since that's when we have ASB after school. But through, we can always have those continuous conversations. The pulse survey, grabbing that information to build your program around that.
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone. So we've understand that teachers have a lot of concerns when it comes to attendance, because if a kid is not in classroom, obviously they're not gonna learn. So we've had a couple of meetings with our attendance clerk and with the counselor. We've run several reports. We've heard teachers about specific students. And we've compiled this report, and what we're going to be doing, we're going to start making, so like the first step would be to probably contact the parent and see what's going on, if there's any, the kid come to school every day, stuff like that. Our next plan would be, if that doesn't work, on setting up SARP, the initial SARP meetings that happen here before it can escalate to going on to the next step. So we're hopeful that once we start with our parent calls, some of these attendance issues will change and improve. This is what we have so far, but we're definitely open to ideas, or if teacher has suggestions, we're definitely open to that.
Okay. Maybe linking Mr. Green with some of these attendance issues, at least for our African-American families.
Oh, that's actually a great idea. Yeah. I know that's something Mr. Winston, he likes doing that.
Right, that's good. All right, Yumi, so I have all the slides for the content areas. How did it go with the department heads?
So we spoke, it's a lot of data to share within each department. There's a lot of data to share. So we were thinking that if we formed groups, and each group could have one representative from each department, and that way within the group they'll be able to look through all the departments data and review what their goals are. And I think we were thinking that it's also it would be a great way to create some ownership over the data, not just the department head, but every single member in the data taking ownership. Every single person in the department taking ownership over the data and those goals and being responsible to share within their groups. So that's what we're gonna do. And so we've given them a heads up already to really make sure that they're prepared to share and to be able to contribute in the meetings this week. So hopefully, well.
Yeah, I like how you guys pulled out too, specifically with our African-American students, since that's a huge equity lens. And I like the idea that having Greenwald, I know he isn't here to share with us today, but I know we'll get him ready to share some of the inclusion work that we're doing. I think that's going to be really awesome. And then we'll focus, of course, on where the gaps are. Okay.
Okay, so moving on.
Guys, good morning. How are you?
Oops. Okay, so reflections and next steps. As I watched, I was definitely thinking more feedback or discussion from the team. However, I will say they knew that I was recording, and I think that it made them a little bit nervous. But also time limits. I know Mr. Nguyen, my assistant principal, he can go on and on. So maybe time limits with clear outcomes to set the purpose of the time that we are spending together. Also, just continuing to work on, for me, active listening and empathy, and continuing to survey the staff and being reflective. I do tend to hold everyone to high expectations, and I know that that can sometimes be a little stressful. So I know I kept reading into that piece around care. Hopefully you saw team, I'm really proud of my team. They are definitely being innovative in the things that we're doing. I'm excited about the work that we're doing. We are implementing a lot of inclusion, which I've had a chance to talk to you guys about a little bit. So that is it. So thank you so much, Drs. Fisher and Fry. I look forward to seeing you in class.